What's up, guys? Today we're going to talk about how I set up my 1959 Stratocaster. What's up, guys? So quite a few inquiries or suggestions about a video topic for this one, how I set up my guitar. A couple weeks back I had done a video on cleaning these saddles. And in that time, I started, searching the internet looking for a replacement saddle that still had a vintage look and feel, but was gonna provide me with some performance, a little better operation, some ease of operation, and maybe take care of some of those nagging issues that the old saddles do. So I came across this company called Highwood, and they make a great set of saddles, really great on the adjustment front. The tops are rounded over, but the adjustment screw is actually the saddle barrel is rolled over, so the adjustment screw is sunk way down. You don't have to worry about scratching your palm. Now, to me, that wasn't really an issue because I set my action super high, almost 110 thousandths. High up, the screws, even if you put longer ones, they can sometimes, wobble loose, or they keep threading themselves down because they're not centered. It's kind of messy. So I'm gonna try these out because I've heard some great things about these. My friend Stan Miller, I asked him about these and he said he really enjoyed them. So yeah, we're gonna try installing these, and I'm gonna go through how I set my guitar up. Now, this is only for my guitar. This doesn't say, this is how a guitar is set up, but you guys have asked how I, set up the tremolo and how I set up the action and all that. So I'm gonna talk about it now. One of the main things too is from learning about guitar repair and guitar setups, I see a lot of times where somebody will bring a guitar to get some work done and they've already taken all the strings off and helped you out. That's not really a help to a guitar repairman, because we almost want to see where your action's at, what your relief is, what the string tension is doing to your neck, what kind of measurements we can take beforehand and then compare them after. And if you say something doesn't feel right once the guitar is done, then we can compare notes and say, oh yeah, right, I can see your action was a little higher here, here, or here. So I'm just going to take a few measurements. I'm going to show you how to go about that, and then I'm going to get into swapping these saddles over, and we'll just do the final setup. Okay, so one of the first things I want to talk about is relief. Concave relief means that you can see the neck having a bow in it this way. Convex means it's going the other way, like a hill. Not really good to have it too much one way or the other, but sometimes some players, and in my case especially, I like a little bit of extra relief around the 8th, 9th fret. So speaking about truss rods too, is if you have a truss rod that you have too much relief and it's doing one of these, you would want to tighten the truss rod to take that relief out. If you have a truss rod that's doing this, or you have a neck that's doing this, you would want to loosen the truss rod and ease up like that, just so you start with a flat and then you make your adjustments. And also you can, you want to put string tension on it and measure it at times, because then you can make a better adjustment of how the guitar is going to feel and react with the tension of the strings on it that you're using. And you may find that sometimes if you have a guitar that's playing stiff, really hard, it's just fighting you, there may be too much relief in the neck. And sometimes straightening the neck out will get that guitar to play slinkier, because if you think about it, you're trying to pinch that string in the middle of that huge bow. There's some theory behind it. There's a bunch of people that have explained it online. I'm just going to show you what my relief is set at with the string tension on there. This is kind of hard to do with one hand, but so I'll take a normal straight edge and I'll lay it on there. You want to get yourself a set of feeler gauges, and these are marked, so that would be 12 thousandths of an inch here. And I already know what mine is set at, but you basically want to set your straight edge in the middle of the neck. Find your 8th fret, 9th fret, sitting like that, the top of the fret to the bottom of the straight edge. There's 12 thousandths of a gap there. Now that's a lot for some people. But for ease of playing, I really like this. This is what I've ended up on after different adjustments, and it may be too much for some people, but again, when you incorporate really fat fingers, big strings and high action, it doesn't really get in the way. It actually makes playing quite easy. So again, you're setting up the straight edge down the center of the neck on all the frets. and you're just measuring that air gap. And I'll show you what that looks like now. That's really what you're measuring right there, that gap from the top of the fret to the bottom of the straight edge. So we now have determined my relief is around 12 thousandths. Great little string action ruler you can get on Amazon on the cheap. Again, I do run my strings quite high, and if you find your 12th fret and take a measurement, you want to go from the top of that black line. I usually run it at about 105. You can almost see some of the bottom of that black line protruding, but I like it pretty far up there. And again, this may not work for everybody, and you may say, oh, that's stupid to have your guitar set up that way, but it's just become what is easier for me to do. It's easier for me to play this way with the action farther up. I actually think it's more comfortable. It's harder for me to play guitars with low action. But if I were to just move the string a little bit, you can see how close it is. So it's actually it's over 100 thousandths, but not by much. Maybe 105 at the most. And I set it up on every string to follow that. So if you go down every string, maybe my high E might be a little higher, but that's how I set it up. So there's pretty much my action. All right, so now we have our initial measurements recorded. We know what our relief is set at. We know what our action is at, and each string is representing the same all the way across. Essentially, if you have a radiused fretboard, which is very minimal, and you set every one of your strings up to that same height, it's following the radius of the board. Some people like to set them up straight across. I just found that 105 all the way across with about 110 on the high E really assists my playing. I'm gonna unwind these strings, I'm gonna get them off, I'm gonna pop these saddles off, and we're gonna load the new ones in there. So I'm gonna fast forward this part until we get down to the nitty gritty. All right, so if I can kind of focus on the original saddles. These are patent pending saddles from 1959, and you can see where, like especially this one, the height adjustment screw is just kind of wedging itself up underneath the saddle. It's not really doing anything anymore. And I've had these adjustment screws pop out at times. On this high E especially, I'm totally out of space. And I just attribute that to me, again, using high action. I really like it as high as I can get it. See, if that saddle were to sit flush, that screw doesn't even touch. And yes, you can get longer screws, and these are actual longer screws. But the saddles over time, they're old. They've taken a beating. I don't want to keep cleaning them. I don't want to risk burning through the saddle itself, and now I have a hole in a saddle that can't be fixed. So I'm just going to remove these and bag them up. But you can see here, like I said, there's no more adjustment, and the tops have been, cleaned more times than I'd like. The intonation adjustment screws are kind of rough. The guitar isn't intonating as well at times. So I'm just going to try to remedy this with these new high wood saddles. As I'm pulling these saddles off too, the adjustment screws are working a lot better coming out than they are if you had to tighten them. And I'm just thinking here that I'm pulling off the, patent pending original saddles, but I really feel like, for the longest time, I needed a piece for my volume pot here. And I wanted a guitar that functioned to its best ability. So I had an aftermarket pot in there, until I was able to fix it. I mean, I think that if a guitar isn't functioning properly, then, what do you say? I have a 69 Camaro 454, but I can't drive it because, the original water pump's leaking. We'll put a water pump on it and save the original, put it away. And, I just think that they're still meant to be played. And if it needs a little bit of something, if it needs some work, and as long as you save the original stuff and put it to the side, you're not harming anything. You're not hurting anything. You know what I mean? You're staying true to the guitar. And I just think that, getting something working properly is a lot better than staring at it. This is probably the first time that these saddles have probably been off this guitar. Get some rust into there. It's really cool. I mean, at this point, do you wipe off the mojo or what? Okay, so looking at these high wood saddles, here's what their claim is. No more hand palm injuries, which I didn't really worry about that to begin with. Then you have keeps original S-type tone, which is great. That's what I'm looking for. Better sustain, quicker attack. Well, we're going to put that to the test. Vintage appearance, nickel plated. That's what I was going for. Notched for easier string bending. See, there's a big thing. That's what turned me on to these, is they have a groove in them that kind of guides the string where it's supposed to be. No more of that, you know, kind of sitar sound. String is off a little bit, and you got to center it back into where the notch is. This is grooves for you, which is really, really cool. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to compare two of the saddles right now, the old ones to the new ones. And here is your, you know, old saddle. It's amazing to see the construction they figured out in these. Other than that, it still looks really essentially the same. But this Pre-Cbs saddle, because it's old, will command such big money. But this saddle will more than likely outperform it. And we're, like I said, we're going to try it out and we're going to see what we get. One more thing too, before I get too far ahead of myself, I want to measure the width on these. So if we take an old one, we have, we'll call it 0.430 of an inch. Okay, so the Highwood is reading 0.440. Now let's measure one of these old ones one more time. Yeah, so we're a little thicker. I'm pretty sure we're gonna line up in the spacing, because if you ever look at the old Strats and the old saddles, they do have a shit ton of room to move around there, and that's something I'm not a fan of. But I think we're gonna be good here. I think they're gonna take up the proper amount of space. And just to note, the Highwood saddles are made for Mexican Strats, American Standards, and I even think Squires. You can follow the different part numbers and get whatever your guitar calls for. These are obviously the string spacing for the vintage Strat. So, just as I suspected, the saddles are a hair wider, just to take up that slot that the original, you know, patent pending saddles would have had. They look pretty great installed already. Not as relict or rusty as, you know, the originals, but I don't really think that matters at this point. So what I'm gonna do right now is I'm just gonna take the Allen wrench that's provided in the kit and just try to get all these up to like an equal playing field. And then I'll do my adjustments once I get some strings on it. The quality of these is really, really great, I have to say, you know, right out of the box. I'll put the link down below so you guys can check out the website for the saddles. They're really, really cool. I think I paid like 40 bucks or 45 bucks or something. I mean, it's not bad. I'm hoping, I'm really into these cheap, affordable Stratocaster upgrades, you know? Okay, so right now we're set up flat, you know? I'm gonna get my Kurt Mangan strings on there, and we're gonna start making some adjustments. So yeah, you know, like I said, a few weeks back, we got endorsed by Kurt Mangan. I really love these strings. I have to say, I hear something great in them, and you know, that's my gauge. I have some 11s in the mail because I think my hands are back into some shape, so I'm gonna start using an 11 down below on the high E. But these are great. If you want to try a set, I'm pretty sure you can contact Kurt Mangan and get in touch with them, and they will send you some. But I string a guitar up, you know, like a guy who needs to string a guitar up pretty fast. I know some people make a ritual about stringing up guitars, but I just kind of whack them out. You know, I get them in as fast as I can, and you know, I don't really, I don't make it take forever.
You don't have to, there's no need to. I don't know if you guys can see this pinup sticker. It's an old one, and I just thought she was so beautiful like that. You know, she ain't naked, but she's close to it. And it's just, this guitar is it's part of me, and I love this thing so much. I got some updates about my my guitar collection. There isn't much left. Some of you guys may be surprised when you watch the video, but I feel really good about the decision, and you know, doing what's best for me at this time. I'm going to talk about the trem setup last too. You know, once we get our string height figured out and we get in tune. I'm going to talk about how I like to set that up. I was setting it up different for a little bit, and now, again,
my hands are coming back. I don't know if you guys are just new to the channel. I had 3 hand surgeries in the last 3 years, so I was in some rough shape as far as guitar playing, and I basically had to learn muscle tension and vibrato all over again. And it's been a long, long road, but I'm finally starting to see great results. So, everything is coming into place. So I usually go 1, 2, 3, halfway, boom, cut it. Put it in, I kink it down, and I kink it around. That'll stop strings from slipping. I know it doesn't seem like anything, but it really helps. Put it in, kink it down, come around with it. Just from hitting that note, I can already tell you, just from hitting that note, from winding the string up, I can already tell you that I hear a difference in the sound. Whether it's going to be good or bad, I haven't determined that yet, but I can already hear it doing something different. It sounds more solid, if that makes any sense. And again, too, when you're winding, you want to make sure your bottom lead is always underneath and the winds are going above the bottom part of the string. You can see my finger holding it down here. So you want your string, when it goes towards the nut, to always exit from the bottom of the rest of the wrap. See, I like that too, as they snap right into that groove. Maybe that'll cause problems, maybe it won't. We're gonna soon find out. Okay, so I can tell you this for a fact. The first thing I noticed is getting these on, and I haven't done anything but string this up. No more of that buzzy sitar type tone back here. That is gone. That has been eliminated. So already I'm happy with these saddles. We're going to see if we can get enough height out of these adjustment screws. If not, I did get a longer set of adjustment screws, but we're going to see where we're at now. This way. All right, so we're a little low. All right, that's 100. Now I'm gonna go to the high E. High E is extremely low. High E is at like 85. So here's a cool little trick you can do. Man, that mother is way up. See, I may need a screw there. We've now got the high E to 100. So we have the low E and the high E to 100. What you can do to make this faster is another tool is you get an understring radius gauge. That's following the radius of the fretboard. When I take my guitar and I rest this on each one of the strings I've already adjusted, you can see that all those center saddles have to come up a good amount. See? So I'll get doing that. All right, so we're back. We got them all up to the height. I did end up having to go with the taller screws, but now if you look at that radius gauge, it's formed to those strings. So it's following the radius of the neck, which is great. Now we're gonna talk a little bit about intonation. All right, setting intonation is one of those things that everybody has a theory on. I'll keep it pretty simple myself. I get the guitar in tune. I'm tuning in E flat. Okay, so I noticed before stretching them, obviously, like I said, I haven't stretched them yet. It's more resonant. I can hear the string breaking right off of here, like coming, that note is coming right from this area, which is cool. The guitar is tighter as far as like, you know, no noises. Let me stretch these out a little bit. String stretching is something that gets overlooked quite a bit. You should really stretch the hell out of them. So you play an open note, and whatever your tuner reflects, again, like I'm in E flat. All right, so we're sharp. So here's the theory. If the note is flat, the saddle has to go forward. If your note is sharp, the saddle has to go back. You have to make the string longer, essentially. Where the string breaks needs to become longer. So sharp would mean that the note you're going for, if it's past it. Flat would mean the note that you're going for if it's before it. Check my tuning. There's my E flat. It's really not bad, but I'm going to loosen the string a little bit. This is a tedious process, but just give it a half a turn. And you know you're intonated when you have a nice clear note. So there's my E flat. That's pretty good. We can go a little bit more. So now we're going to walk down the rest of these and do all of them. That's perfect. G string's a little flat. So we'll go forward towards the headstock. If you want to visually watch it move, there's my note. We're on. D is good. A little flat on the G. So I'm not plugging it into the amplifier, obviously, because I want to hear what these things are doing acoustically. You know, they promote resonance, they promote sharper bite, you know, stronger attack. So that's what I want to hear. I know it may seem like copying Stevie Ray Vaughan thing or anything like that. It's just literally, my hands are giant, so it just, you know, it helped me get under the string, the higher action. I'm not a fast, a fast player. So I think it helps because my phrasing is very slow and, my phrasing is very slow and limited. So I think it just helps for me to get under the string, and using the heavier gauge strings helps commit to a note when you're on it. And, heavier is not always better. For a while there, when my hands were when I was getting back into the swing of things, I was using a 56 to 10, like a hybrid set, so I could take it easy on my hands, and I was tuning to like D, you know what I mean? Just to kind of, get back in the gym and work the muscles out. And now, that I feel like I've gotten some hand strength back and I'm doing more playing regularly, I was able to go up to the heavier gauge, and then the Kurt Mangan strings really make bending quite easy. And I'm not just saying that because I'm using the strings. I feel as though they make the bends quite easy. I use stainless steel frets on here, and that also helps as far as bending to me, I think. And there's, people have different feelings about stainless steel frets, but I don't think it changes the tone like everybody says. I think it's actually a great tone enhancement. I think you get a much clearer note around the note with the stainless fret, because they're crowned so precise and so sharp that the break angle for the note is pretty clear. imagining this is your string coming through and here's your crown. That's so hardened and it's so clear. There's no fuzziness on this side or that side of the note. Your crown is right here and it just stays that way. And I think that's what everybody attributes to, oh, stainless frets make your guitar brighter. That's not really the case. But I may be wrong. I think any fret job will make a guitar brighter when the frets are wearing in. So far, what I've noticed is, like I said, the guitar down here is tighter and less jangly. That's a technical term too. It does have a snappier response. You can hear like a direct tone transfer from the string to the saddle to almost to the bridge. You can kind of feel it in the guitar, and you know, hopefully tuning stability and setup stays strong, and I'll be nothing but pleased. So we're going to talk a little bit about tremolo. I used to run 4 springs with the claw that high. And I recently put a 5th spring on there because, again, my hand strength was building up. I'm actually going to back this claw down to ease some of the whammy bar action. I don't want to snap this bar off. This is the original bar. And I'll just show you how to do that. You know, there's a scientific method that you can use to set up these. And what I do is I keep enough tension to where see, to me, that's minimal. Like, I'm barely pushing. I just want the weight of my arm. And that's 5 springs. Now, using 5 springs, there's so much tension that the tension is going to return all the time, because I think the springs are overpowering the strings here. You know, so I think that's always going to return to your flush point. Also, I like to pluck an E, and when I bend that note all the way up, I like that E to stay in E, you know? Yeah, you can hear how nice this sounds too at the 12th fret, just. You want the spring tension to equal the string tension in a way if you're looking for ease. Now, if you want that kind of Stevie Ray type thing where you bend and everything is tight and stays in tune, you just send it home. Send the claw all the way up there, put as many springs as you want. You're going to snap some whammy bars off. You know, everybody's done that, and that seems to be working. So, you know, you want the guitar to return. If you want it floating, you would set it up to where there's many instructions online. I'm not going to give them to you here, but you can keep it floating. Do I feel as though you lose a little bit of character? I think you may lose a little bit of resonance, but you gain a little comfortability when it's floating. The guitar feels a little slinkier to me. That's just what I can give you as far as trem setups. I know it's always worked. I don't like to bend and hear my low E go, wow. So I've always just brought the bridge down right to the body, and I like to feel that resonance and stuff. You know, you want to start getting into some of these repairs. Get yourself a good set of screwdrivers with multiple different tip ends, you know. Good set of Allen wrenches, you know, hex keys as they call them. Get yourself a set of radius gauges, under the string radius gauges. A string action ruler. You can find this stuff on Amazon. Set of feeler gauges. They've been using these forever. You can spend the big money on a StewMax straight edge. I just took a yardstick and cut it at 18 inches, and that's a pretty straight edge. Obviously, you know, a string winder and a string clipper. This cool little stand holds the guitar up. And yeah, I mean, you know, you can get a digital caliper like I use for some things too, but that's just going a little overboard. Those are just some necessities I feel as though if you want to start doing guitar repair, things you should have. And, you know, it's kind of fun working on your own stuff as long as you don't mess it up. So, my thoughts on the Highwood saddles. I like them. I'm going to roll with them for a little bit. I'm going to test drive them. I'm going to see what they have to offer. I really like installation. It was really, really easy and foolproof, you know. Basic, just simple setup. I showed you guys how I do set up my guitar. I showed you my relief. I showed you my action, how I set up the tremolo springs, and yeah, how I showed you guys how to set intonation too. So you can check, You know, play an open string and play it at the 12th fret. It should mirror that. It shouldn't be wobbly. It shouldn't be flat. It shouldn't be sharp. It should just be right in tune. Check out the Highwood saddles. We're gonna see what they do. The jury's still out with them because I just did it live right in front of you guys. But I'm gonna do some playing on this and I'll report back to you and let you guys know. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Here's the one you guys have been asking about, my 59 Strat setup. Peace.